evening. Erev Tov B'Kulam. My name is Toby Hecht, and I am one of the directors of Shabtai. I first want to thank God, the master of all ceremonies, for bringing us together here tonight. It is an honor to be here with you all. I want to start off by thanking Alex for hosting tonight's event. I would like to thank Harry, Scott, and Tal for taking the time out of their busy schedules to share their wisdom with us. It was incredible. I want to thank Rabbi Moshe Shilat, head of Chabad in Israel, for bringing us this incredible group tonight. And of course, I want to thank my dear friends, Moshe Rubin and Mendel Mushkin, for helping to make arrangements behind the scenes. Tonight is really a celebration of unity and reflection. I'm going to echo some of the things our wonderful speakers have spoken about. It is by no coincidence that tonight also celebrates, as mentioned, the birthday of two prominent figures in Jewish history. Because in truth, they are the very reason we are here sitting in this room together among friends, both old and new. In the years 1648, 1649, infamously known as Taf B'Tat on the Jewish calendar, the Khmelnytsky massacres, the pogroms in Ukraine, viciously wiped out over hundreds of thousands of Jews. In the wake of such devastation and abuse, the Jewish community were battered, bruised, and depleted, the Jewish communities. The aftershocks still rumbled across Eastern Europe some 50 years later. In 1698, on the 18th day of the Hebrew month of Elul, which started this evening, as Alex mentioned, a man named the Baal Shem Tov, founder of the Hasidic movement, was born. His parents, Eliezer and Sarah, were God-fearing people, holy and righteous, living quietly on the edge of town in Akko. Rabbi Eliezer was one of the 39 hidden tzaddikim, hidden righteous men that live in each generation. He and Sarah named their son and only child, Yisrael. When Yisrael was 5 years old, both Eliezer and Sarah passed away. On his deathbed, Eliezer told his son two things that would shape his life entirely and change the trajectory of Judaism forever. He said, quote, "Fear no one but God, and love every Jew with all your heart and soul, no matter who he or she is." Yisrael took the words of his father to heart and lived by their dictum every day of his life. He didn't have an easy life by our standards, but perhaps this only implies that we need to revisit the basis of our modern standards of a good life. He spent his life devoted to uplifting the tattered spirits of the Jewish people. As he traversed the Jewish landscape of hamlets and villages, both far and near, with an entourage of committed disciples, he reminded the people and reinforced the notion that God loves every single man, woman, and child unconditionally and indiscriminately. Through this unfailing belief, support, and love of another, he fundamentally bridged the gap between the simple man and the esteemed scholar, revolutionizing the status quo. Every person, no matter who they were, whether well-versed in Talmud or agriculture, could connect to God anytime, anywhere, always. The focus was on purity of faith and the sincerity of heart. And by revitalizing this foundational belief in Judaism, he stemmed the tide of loneliness and fear, rejuvenating a nation on the verge of despair. Before he passed away in Mezhebush, Ukraine, Rabbi Yisrael, the Holy Baal Shem Tov, left a legacy that had already begun to transform the world. 47 years to the day after the Baal Shem Tov came into this world, another great man was born. On the 18th day of Elul in 1745, Rabbi Schneur Zalman, known as the Alter Rebbe, the son of Baruch and Rivka, was born in Lyuzhna, a town in Poland. Baruch was a follower of the Baal Shem Tov, albeit more of a clandestine group called the Nistarim, the Hidden. After a year without children, the pair visited the Baal Shem Tov for a blessing. He blessed them and said they would have a child within the year. That high holiday season, the Baal Shem Tov, known as the Besht, was recorded to have been radiating with an unusual joy even for him. Baruch and Rivka spent the holidays there in Mezhebush, receiving another blessing before departing at the end of the season. Rivka promised she would devote her child to spreading the word of Torah and Chasidism, the esoteric teachings of the Torah. Rivka, who made time to study Torah daily in privacy, went to a family member to learn what to pray and what to learn in preparation. Sure enough, as the Besh said they would, within the year Rivka gave birth to a boy on Chai Elul. Baruch and Rivka named their son Shneir Zalman, and they would raise him in his formative years under the direction of the Baal Shem Tov. Already as a young man, Shneir Zalman was proving to be a brilliant Talmudic scholar, nicknamed Litvak, i.e. a student of the Lithuanian yeshivas. He was a young married man when he had two options for continuing his studies, one Harvard and one Yale, as if. In reality, it was better. It was Mezrich or Vilna. He was told that in Vilna you'll learn how to study, and in Mezrich you'll learn how to pray, and he chose Mezrich. There he became the student of the crowned disciple and successor of the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Dover, known as the Maggid of Mezrich. Under the tutelage and guidance of his teacher, Shneir Zalman began to work on developing the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, which included working and teaching Jews of ordinary circumstances. Between his deep intellectual mind and his commitment to the path of his holy teachers, word spread about his greatness. You see, the Baal Shem Tov reintroduced the mystical in small doses through powerful stories and lessons from the Torah. His student, the Maggid, began to disseminate larger swaths of the esoteric to small nucleus of carefully selected students. Slowly, the concepts within Chasidus, which had until now been reserved for the academic elite, began to flow more broadly. Rabbi Shneir Zalman's focus was with a distinct emphasis on the intellectual dissemination of Jewish mysticism, the esoteric aspects of the Torah, the blueprint for Jewish life. His philosophy became known as Chabad, the acronym for Chachma, wisdom, Bina, understanding, and Das, knowledge. Chabad endeavors to understand the intent of creation, and especially our individual and communal purpose in the world. It relies on a meditative study of the metaphysical, spiritual, and mundane function, bridged by the fundamental recognition of godliness in everyone and everything. Less about disciples riding on the coattails of great rabbis. It was more about investing in the individual by inspiring faith and ability in oneself in search and service of God. By addressing this critical belief in the power of the individual, his philosophy zeroes in on the capacity for a transformative self. The multi-layered concept is illuminated in his magnum opus, the Tanya, which followed his code of Jewish law. This novel approach sparked great debate among Torah scholars across countries and centuries. Yeshiva institutions, of which the Alter Rebbe had been a star pupil, could not reconcile the wisdom of the great mystic he was destined to become. The flexible integration of simplicity and scholarship in service of God through a mystical passage was unconventional, and Chabad's innovative synthesis of the law and the soul, made available to every Jew, was threatening to the more rigid and reactionary style of service. Yet in spite of aggressive countermeasures, the life and teachings of Reb Shneir Zalman, the Alter Rebbe, persisted, bringing us to this house here tonight, 324 years later. I'd like to end off by saying to all of you, young, beautiful men and women, with your whole life ahead of you, take heed of the profound messages of these two incredible legacies that intertwined not only because of their brilliant minds and life lessons, but through their humility and their love of humanity. Fear no one but God, and love every person, no matter who they are. Believe in yourself and know your potential. Spend your life living out that purpose that only you can do. Chasidus teaches that everything has a reason for being, from the thinking man to the leaf that rolls in the wind. The reason you were born into this world is because God decided the world needed you, each one of you in it. I'd like to end with the L'chaim. To you all, Chaim.